Hello, dear tutor Diana Constanza Cruz. My name is Yvette Paternina Romero. I'm studying foreign language at UNAD. It's a pleasure for me to talk to you about this important topic. Today I'm going to socialize Task 1, the role of the material designer. Well, according with the first question, what was the conception of materials development decades ago? For many decades, the development of material was conceived as learning resources that serve to illustrate methods. But things have been changing due to the approach that teachers have given to this because they consider them important in the application of methodologies in the teaching process, as well as in the satisfaction of the interests and needs of students, according to the requirement of the globalized society. A relevant aspect when producing material is that it must be the product of a reflection that must be accompanied by practice in such a way that its relevance and effectiveness are assessed in a given context. This is how it should meet the expectation of a student and help achieve the goals. Well, the next question is about what does developing materials demand from teachers? Give at least 6 demands and explain them. The number 1, achieve impact through novelty, variety, attractive presentation, and appealing content. The teacher must prepare interesting materials that will motivate the students toward learning. 2. Help learner feel at ease. The teacher must create a comfortable environment that encourages participation and free and spontaneous students. 3. Attain readiness as asserted by Krashen, 1985. It is important to have 2 entry points to motivate the students toward the acquisition of new learning based on previous knowledge. Number 4. Take into account a student's different learning styles such as visual, auditory, kinesthetic, analytic, experiential, global, dependent, independent, as suggested by Tomlinson, 1998, and Harmer, 27. The learning characteristics of students should be identified and highlighted to enhance their particularities and strength teaching. 5. Regard a student's emotion or affective screen. This is a significant aspect in learning as it is achieved to assess the weakness and strength of a student and generate an environment of trust. 6. Offer plenty of free practice. Freedom to express ideas should be provided as it fosters fluency in communication. Well, the next question is, what are the components of creating and adapting didactic learning materials? One of them is need assessment. In regard to this process, Núñez-Telles 28 state that as teachers most frequently make decisions regarding aims, strategies, and materials that will influence their classes. Those ought to be based on a systematic, well-informed need assessment. 2. Setting goals and objectives. The horizon to be focused on in the EFL classroom should be set up clearly, aiming and satisfying students' needs and expectations through the development and implementation of learning materials. 3. Conceptualizing content Designing a syllabus. Designing a syllabus demands the integration of an array of aspects that are fundamental to language learning and acquisition within a diversity of social content. In-depth learners particularly need informed teaching and learning tendencies and the wide range of sociocultural conditions must be properly identified, addressed, and considered if we want to promote more interesting, significant, and favorable learning environment. 4. Selecting and developing materials and activities. Proper selection of activities must consider a range of factors such as usefulness in attaining the course purposes, suitability of student age, interest, needs, and expectation, availability of use, and plausibility of being adjusted up or down according to a student's particular learning style. Well, 5. Organization of content and activity. Both content and activity could be structured in three distinct fashions known as the building, the recycling, and the sequence and matrix approach. The first one gradually moves from the simplest to the most complex activity, from the general to the specific one, and from the concrete to the abstract. The second one provides a student with a learning challenge in terms of a new skill area, a different type of activity, or new focus. The third one follows a consistent sequence to be fulfilled within a given period. 6. Evaluation. According to Hooks, 1989, evaluation is a permanent component of the course development process that serves, among other purposes, to diagnose specific strengths and weaknesses and assess students' achievement in a course program. 7. Resource and constraints. Teachers ought to be resourceful and then adapt to the tangible or intangible given and lacks of their teaching situation insofar as it allows them to make down-to-earth sense of all the process involved in the development materials. Well, this is a question. Good question. In your opinion, what is the principal role of the teacher when designing language learning materials? First of all, the teacher must be resourceful and creative because he must design a material that manages to arouse interest in the student, fall in love with the language, and achieve the proposed goals. Also, schools' needs must be taken into account that is starting from the reality of the context to produce meaningful materials. The teacher must know the student and interact with him to identify his characteristics or educational needs and thus elaborate a material that is appropriate and following his particularities. Well, reference Pardo and Tejes, 29 ELT materials, the key to fostering effective teaching and learning setting. Thanks.